of the ones that I haven't connected. Okay, so we're gonna start our reading, part 3 of the Diary of Anne Frank in page 722. 722, okay? Let's get it started. Let's get it started again.
Okay, Mr. You start.
Okay. Violently rebellious.
Margot, Margot, Margot. That's all I hear from everyone. How wonderful Margot is. Why aren't you like Margot?
Protesting.
Oh, come on, Anne, don't be so...
Paying no attention.
Everything she does is right, and everything I do is wrong. I am the goat around here. You are all against me, and you worst of all.
She rushes off into her room and throws herself down on the settee, stifling her sobs. Mrs. Franks sighs and starts toward the stove. Margot.
Let's put the soup on the stove. Is there's anyone who cares to eat? Margot, will you take the bread out?
Margot gets the bread from the cupboard. Continue, Camila.
And what? I don't know how we can go on living this way. I can't say a word to Anne. She flies at me.
You know, Anne, in a half an hour, she'll be out here, laughing and joking.
And
She makes a motion upwards, indicated an abundance.
I told your father it wouldn't work, but no, he had to ask them, he said. He owed it to him. He said, well, he knows now that I was right. These quarrels, this bickering.
With a warning look,
How, shush,
shush.
shush.
The buzzer for the door sounds. Mrs. Frank gasps, startled.
Every time I hear that sound, my heart stops.
Starting for Peter's door.
It's Meep.
She knocks at the door. Father? Mr. Frank comes quickly from Peter's room.
Thank you, Margot.
As he goes down the steps to open the outer door.
Has everyone his list?
Well, there is Mr. Frank, so Diego must read that. Because Aldo is not here. So you're gonna read Mr. Van Dam and Mr. Frank. Thank you, Margot.
Thank you, Margot.
As he goes down the steps to open the outer door.
Has everyone his list?
I'll get my books.
Giving her mother a list.
Here's your list.
Margot goes into her and Anne's bedroom on the right. Anne sits up, hiding her tears as Margot comes in.
Me here?
Margot picks up her books and goes back. Anne hurries over to the mirror, smoothing her hair. Coming down the stairs.
It is Miep.
Yes, father's gone down to let her in.
Glad you have some cigarettes.
To Mr. Van Dam.
I can't tell you how unhappy I am about Mrs. Van Dam's coat, and should never have touched it.
She'll be all right.
Is there anything I can do?
Don't worry.
He turns to meet me, but it is not me who comes up the steps. It is Mr. Crawler, followed by Mr. Frank. Their faces are grave. Anne comes from the bedroom. Peter comes from his room.
Mr. Crawler,
How are you, Mr. Crawler?
This is a surprise.
when Mr. Crawler comes, the sun begins to shine.
Miep is coming.
Not tonight. Crawler goes to Margot and Mr. and Mrs. Frank and Anne, shaking hands with them.
Wouldn't you like a cup of coffee? Or better still, will you have supper with us?
Mr. Crawler has something to go over with us. Something has happened. He says, which demands an immediate descent.
Fearful,
What is it?
Mr. Crawler sits down on the couch. As he talks, he takes a bread, cabbage, milk, etc. from his briefcase, giving them to Margot and Anne to put away. Usually when I come up here, I try to bring you some bit of good news. What's the use of telling you the bad news when there's nothing that you can do about it? But today something has happened. Dirk meets Dirk, you know, came to me just now. He tells me that he has a Jewish friend living near him, a dentist. He says he's in trouble. He begged me. Could I do anything for this man? Could I find him a hiding place? So I come to you. I know it's a terrible thing to ask of you, living as you are, but will you take him in with you?
First, we will.
Rising. It'll be just for a night or two until I find some other place. This happened so suddenly that I didn't know where to turn.
Where is he?
Downstairs in the office.
Good, bring him up.
His name is Dussel, Jan Dussel.
I think I know him.
I'll get him. He goes quickly the steps and out. Mr. Frank suddenly becomes conscious of the others.
Forgive me, I spoke without consulting you, but I knew you feel as I do. There's no reason for you to consult anyone. This is your place. You have a right to do exactly as you please. The only thing I feel there's so little food as it is, and to take in another person.
Peter turns away, ashamed of his father.
We can stretch the food and a little.
Stretch.
It
We can
stretch
stretch.
can stretch the food a little. It's only for a few days. If you want to make a bet, I think it is fine
No, no,
to
no,
have.
Mrs. Frank. That's Mrs. Frank.
I think it is fine to have him, but Otto, where are you going to put him? Where?
Let's see.
Mr. You are Peter.
Also,
You want
he can have my bed. I can sleep on the floor. I wouldn't mind.
good you, Peter, but your room too small even for you.
I have a much better idea. I'll come in here with you and Mother. And Margot can take Peter's room and Peter can go in our room with Mr. Darcy.
That's right, we could do that.
No, Martha, you must sleep in the room. Neither you nor Anne mostly has caught some rats in there. Peter's brave, he doesn't mind.
Then how about this? I'll come in here with you and Mother and Mr. Darcy can have my bed.
No, 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 no. Margot will come in here with us and he can have her bed. It's the only way. Margot, bring your things in here. Help her, Anne.
Margot hurries into her room to get things to her mother.
Why, Margaret? Why can't I come in here?
Because it wouldn't be proper for Margot to sleep with a... Please, Anne, don't argue, please.
Anne starts slowly away to Anne.
Don't mind sharing your room, with Mr. Dossel, do you, Anne?
No, no, of course not.
Good.
Anne goes off into her bedroom, helping Margot. Mr. Frank starts to search in the cupboards.
Where the coconut
Cognac, cognac.
cognac?
It's there, but Otto, I was saving it in case of illness.
I think we could find a better time to us. If Peter, will you get 5 glasses for me?
Peter goes for the glasses. Margot comes out of her bedroom, carrying her possessions, which she hands behind a curtain in the main room. Mr. Frank finds the cognac and pours it into the 5 glasses that Peter brings him. Mr. Van Daan stands looking on surly. Mrs. Van Daan comes downstairs and looks around at all the Boston.
What's happening? What's going on?
Someone's moving in with us.
In here? You're joking?
It's only for a night or two, until Mr. Crawler finds him another place.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Frank hurries over as Mr. Crawler and Dussel come up. Dussel is a man in his late 50s, meticulous, finicky, bewildered now. He wears a raincoat. He carries a briefcase stuffed full and a small medicine case.
Come in, Mr. Dossel.
This is Mr. Frank. Let's see one address. Read Mr. Dussel, please.
Mr. Otto Frank,
Yes, let me take your things.
He takes the hat and the briefcase, but Dussel clings to his medicine case.
This is my wife, Edith, Mr. and Miss Van Damme. Their son, Peter, and me, daughters,
And my daughters,
my daughters, Margaret and Anne.
Dussel shakes hands with everyone. Thank you, Mr. Frank. Thank you all. Mr. Dussel, I leave you in good hands. Oh, dearest coat. Dussel hurriedly takes off the raincoat, giving it to Mr. Crawler, underneath in his white dentist jacket, with a yellow star of David on it. To Mr. Crawler.
what can I say you to thank you?
What can I say you to thank you? To Dussel.
Mr. Crawler and Mip, they are our lifeline. Without them, we couldn't live.
Please, please. You make us seem very heroic. It isn't that at all. We simply don't like the Nazis. To Mr. Frank, who offers him a drink. No thanks. Then going on. We don't like their methods. We don't like Smiley.
I know. No one's going to tell us Dutchmen what to do with our yes.
Dawson. Pay no attention to Mr. Frank. I'll be up to see that they are treating you right. To Mr. Frank. Don't trouble to come down again. Peter will bolt the door after me. Will you, Peter? Yes, sir.
Thanks, Peter. You'll do it.
Mr. Frank.
Thanks, you, Peter. I'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Good night. Good night. Night, Mr. Crawler. We'll see you
We'll see
tomorrow.
you tomorrow.
Mr. Crawler goes out with Mr. Frank. Mrs. Frank gives each one of the grown-ups a glass of cognac.
Please, Mr. Dussel, sit down.
Mr. Dawson sinks into a chair. Mrs. Frank gives him a glass of cognac. Andres,
I am dreaming. I know it. I can build my eyes. Mr. Otto Frank here.
Frank,
You are not in Switzerland. A
sweeter,
woman told me
sweeter.
you
Wait, wait,
say
wait, wait.
she's gone
Andres, Andres,
to your
Andres,
house.
Andres,
The door was open. Everything
Andres,
was
Andres,
disordered. Dishes in the sink. She say
Andres,
Andres. Stop when you confuse. Stop. Repeat the word. That's the way you're gonna improve. Switzerland, Andres. Switzerland. Continue.
Switzerland. Then a woman told me she say she gone to your house. The door was open. Everything was in disorder. Dishes in the
Disorder,
sink.
disorder,
She say she found
disorder, disorder. Everything was in
disorder.
disorder.
Dishes in the sink. She say she found a piece of paper in a waste basket with a address scribbled
Scribbling, scribbling.
on it. An address in Zurich. She said you must have escaped to Zurich.
Father put that there purposely, just so people will think that very thing.
Yes.
And you've been here all the time?
All the time, ever since July.
And speaks to her father as he comes back.
It worked, Pim. The address you left. Mr. Dussel says that the people believe we escaped to Switzerland.
I'm glad. And now let's have a little drink to welcome Mr. Dossel.
Or they can drink. Mr. Dawson holds his drink. Mr. Frank smiles and raises his glass.
To Mr. Dossel, welcome. We're very honored to have you with us.
To Mr. Dussel, welcome.
The Van Dans murmur a welcome. The grown-ups drink.
that was good.
Did Mr. Crawler warn you that you won't get much to eat? Here, you can
Here,
here, you can manage three
imagine,
ration books.
imagine,
Manage what?
imagine.
Ash, three ration books among the seven of us, and now you make it eight.
Peter walks again, humiliated. Outside, a street organ is heard dimly, rising.
Mr. Van Dam, you don't realize that it's happening
Realize,
outside. Do you should warn me of things like that? You don't realize what's going on?
realize, realize.
Realize is happening outside that you should warn me of things like that. You don't realize what's going on?
As Mr. Van Dam starts with his characteristic pacing, Dussel turns to speak to the others. Dussel, Andres, Mr. Thor,
Let's continue. I think he have a bad connection.
Yes, I think so. Jorge, are you over there?
Yes.
Okay, read Dossel, please. I think that Andres is having a bad connection.
Right here.
Jorge,
Mister,
not following the reading. Okay, Anna, please help me, Anna. It doesn't matter, there is a help me,
what
please. Dossel,
I, I want to ask what is cognac?
what is
Cognac.
cognac?
Yes?
It's a drink. It's like wine, something like that. It's similar like wine. It's like
Ah,
a
okay.
wine. Yes, it's like a type of wine. Continue, please, Anna, can you help me with Dossel? To read Dossel?
Okay, but where?
We just stopped.
Ah,
They get your call up notice.
they get their call up not notice. Come to the Jewish theater on such and such a day and hour. Bring only what you can carry in a rucksack. And if you refuse the call-up notice, then they come and drag you from your home and ship you off the Mauthausen, the death camp.
Which is the Mauthausen? Where is Mauthausen? Look down. Look down in the bottom of your page. It's a village in Austria that was the site of a Nazi concentration camp. Continue.
We didn't know that things had to got so much worse.
Forgive me for speaking so.
Coming to those.
Do you know the wolves? What's the call of them? Their daughter Yopi and I are in the same class. Yopi is my best friend.
They are gone.
Oh,
With all the others.
no, trust me.
She turns away in tears. Mrs. Frank motions to Margot to comfort her. Margot goes to Anne, putting her arms comfortingly around her.
There's where some people call Wagner. They live near us.
Interrupting with a glance at Anne.
I think we should put this off until later. We all have many questions we want to ask, but I am sure that Mr. Dussel would like to get settled before supper.
Thank you. I would. I brought very little with me.
Giving him his hat and briefcase.
I'm sorry we can't give you a room alone, but I hope you won't be too uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
uncomf-
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. We had to make strict rules here. A
Schedule.
schedule of hours. We'll tell you after supper. And would you like to make Mr. Dussel to his room?
Controlling her tears.
If you will come with me, Mr. Dawson.
She starts for her room. Shaking hands with each in turn.
Forgive me if I haven't really expressed my gratitude to all of you. This has been such a shock to me. I'd always thought of myself as Dutch. I was born in Holland. My father was born in Holland, and my grandfather. And now, after all these years,
He breaks off.
if you'll excuse me.
Russell gives a little bow to hurries off after Anne. Mr. Frank and the others are subdued, turning on the light.
Well, here we are.
Dussel looks around the room. In the main room, Margaret speaks to her mother. Allison,
The news sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? It is so different from what Mr. Crowley tells us. Mr. Crowley says things are improving.
I like it better the way Growler tells it.
they resume their occupations. Quietly, Peter goes off into his room. In Anne's room, Anne turns to Dussel.
You're going to share the room with me.
Anna, Anna,
I'm a man who's always living alone. I haven't had to adjust myself to others. I hope you bear with me until I learn. Let me help you.
guys, I don't understand. I don't understand that part. I don't know if
What?
you. I don't understand it. Is that there was a problem in the connection?
Yes,
Read it another time, please.
okay. I'm a man who's always lived alone. I haven't had to adjust myself to others. I hope you'll bear with me until
Bear.
I
No,
learn.
you'll bear. You'll bear.
You'll bear with me until I learn.
Let me help you.
She takes his briefcase.
Just a moment, I'll go. Do you always live all alone?
Also, Raquel is having problems with the internet. Do you always live alone?
Do you always live alone? Have you no family at all?
No one.
He opens his medicine case and spreads his bottles on the dressing table.
You must be terribly lonely.
I'm used to it.
I don't think I could ever get used to it. Did you ever have a pet, a cat, or a dog?
I have an allergy for fur-bearing animals.
Bearing,
They give me
bearing, bearing, Anna. Bearing.
bearing animals. They give me asthma.
Oh dear, Peter has
There.
a cat.
Oh, there.
Peter has a cat.
Here, he has it here.
No.
Raquel is having problems,
And
so.
continue.
Yes, but we hardly ever see it. He keeps it in his room all the time. I'm sure it will be all right.
Let us hope So,
He takes some pills to fortify himself. And that's Margot's bed. When you're going to sleep, I sleep on the sofa there, indicating the clothes hooks on the wall. We cleared this off all of your things. She goes over to the window. The best part about this room, you can look down and see a bit of the street in the canal. There is a houseboat. You can see the end of it. A parchman lives there with his family. They have a baby and he's just beginning to walk. And I'm afraid so he's going to fall in the canal someday. I watch him. Okay, guys, we're gonna leave it until page 170, 728. Okay, can somebody make me a resume? What is a new character? Who's that new character? Who brought up that new character to that place? What's happening with that new character?
A new character is Mr. Dossel, and
Also,
who brings Mr. Crawler.
yes, and Mr. Crawler. Who is Mr. Crawler? He's the owner?
of the house?
Exactly, of the office. Of the office that is saving the Jews. And upstairs, guys, in the top of the office, who's living in the top of the office? What families?
Jebus.
But what are the name of it? Who are they? Mr. Frank, Mrs. Frank, Mr. Van Dam, Mrs. Van Dam, Margot, Anne, Peter. All
Mr. Frank's
of them
family.
are living upstairs.
Frank's family, the Frank's family.
Exactly. And downstairs, who lives? Well, they don't live over there. But who works downstairs? Mr. Crawler, and also who's the one that can goes out to bring
Meg.
Meep.
Meep.
Meep is not living with them. Meep is downstairs. And Mr. Dossel, who brought Mr. Dossel? Mr. Crawler,
Mr.
right?
Crawler.
Mr. Crawler. And Mr. Dossel right now is telling how is the life outside over there, right? Outside the house or outside the office. How is the difference between what Mr. Crawler tells them to the what Mr. Dossel tells them? What is the main difference?
That Mr. Dossel tells it, but with more specifically.
And true, right? And true, because it's not improving the stuff; it's getting worse. And Mr. Crawler, he doesn't say it like the correct way. Okay, guys. For homework, what you're gonna do is that you're gonna look for the words that you don't understand from page 729, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 until 35. 729 to 735. Is that clear? 729 to 735. That homework you have to send it for tomorrow, okay? Until tomorrow you have time.